welcome to another edition of Trader Talk TV. Today we've got Greg from MediaMath in the Exchange Wire office. Greg, thanks for coming in. And we're going to talk about Deal ID today. So Greg, just introduce yourself quickly and then we'll jump straight into it.
Sure. Thanks, Kieran. I'm Greg Williams. I'm one of the co-founders of MediaMath, and I run all of the EMEA and Asia Pacific business operations and business development.
Thanks, Greg. Short and snappy. So Greg, we're talking about Deal ID today. Can you talk about the concept of Deal ID? What is it? And then we'll talk about the problems it addresses currently in the ecosystem. So let's use the medium of our whiteboard to explain to the folks about Deal ID.
Sure. So let's quickly take a step back and give a little bit of an overview of marketplaces and talk about the history of that and how Deal ID evolved.
Okay.
If you really take a step back and you look at it, you had a world of lots of undifferentiated supply. That supply was purchased via standard IOs before the rise of RTB. You then had ad technology come into the market and create the concept of automated trading. The problem is that in those cases, the supply still remained undifferentiated. All of a sudden, you then start having the idea of private marketplaces being created. The problem with private marketplaces, though, was they were still being developed without automation. Enter the world of automation and you have to have a parameter or a key that is passed. That is exactly what Deal ID does. Think of it as a key that helps you differentiate between standard RTB supply from private marketplace supply.
Okay, and how does that work between the buy and sell side? Let's draw this out.
So let's draw this out a little bit. So you have demand and you have supply. Over here you have buyers and you have sellers, right? Let's talk about the world in a manual world first.
Okay.
In a manual world, you have buyers and sellers. What do you have to have? Well, you have to have an insertion order, right? You have to have reporting feeds, right? And you have to have some sort of billing relationship set up and discrepancy management. Right? Now, let's talk about what has happened over time. Right? With the concept of automation and that coming in, all of a sudden you had sellers and then you had buyers who wanted to come in and want to be able to trade in real time, but also still maintain the control that they once had, knowing exactly where an ad was going to be delivered, and from a seller side, knowing exactly where an ad was going to be placed. Right? Enter the concept of the key, which is called the Deal ID. All the Deal ID does is act as a special key that on a bid request and bid response is passed between buyer and seller.
Okay. And so the process is that there's a key passed in between those two entities. And can they identify the actual impression itself, or how does that work?
Yeah, so whenever a seller makes a request, what happens is the buy has been placed prior to, and the terms of the buy have been placed prior to the Deal ID being set. That becomes the ID or the key that is set up between buyer and seller that associates all of the terms, whether it is a start and end date, whether it is fixed or guaranteed, whether it is premium, or whether it has data associated with it as well.
Okay, so what key problems is this really addressing in the ecosystem? Obviously there's been some stuff written this week about programmatic premium and whether Deal ID is actually the right thing, but just talk about what problems it addresses currently in the ecosystem.
Well, currently in the ecosystem, what this addresses is, one, it gives both the buyer and the seller a sense of control and an easy workflow in the environment. What this means is the ability to see reach and frequency, the ability for unified tracking and reporting, the ability for better targeting across an entire buy, so you're not only targeting RTB, but also all of your private marketplaces, right? And it also allows you to have full transparency into the placement and exactly where that's going to, where exactly the ad will be served.
And do you think it's a panacea for the current problems in the private marketplaces? Obviously, some publishers have not seen as much brand spend in that entity and haven't seen their CPMs rise. Do you think this addresses a problem of that problem?
I do, and that's a great question. Let's talk about some of the benefits of that, right? What do you see? Well, those benefits are, one, you can see the programmatic premium aspect coming out for brands, right? You can see the ability to provide more differentiated offerings, such as packaged products, whether you're talking about media and data that a publisher wants to sell to a buyer, whether you're talking about contextual segments that publishers want to offer, whatever that is, provides a lot of value for these marketplaces to be created. All of those instances occur, and all of those benefits happen from the concept of a key being passed, the deal ID.
And is this prevalent across the industry now? I mean, is there only a few vendors that implemented this, or is the ecosystem using this as a whole?
Well, so MediaMath came out with Deal ID about 2 years ago. In doing that, what we found was we got quick adoption because it's a very good and easy, seamless way to bring bespoke buys into an automated world and into an automated way of trading, right? And we've seen widespread adoption between the supply side technologies and all of our buyers.
And is this going to fuel a lot of this programmatic premium everybody's talking about at the minute? Is this going to be underpinning a lot of that next year?
That's exactly what we believe. There's a big push to get brand spend into the automated world, whether that's site homepage takeover, whether that is programmatic premium placements on sites, whatever that is, we're seeing a big push to move that from a non-automated world into the automated world via Deal IDs.
Okay, so that was Deal ID. Good overview from Greg. Greg, thank you for coming into the office today.
Thank you.
And have a good Christmas. So see you next time on Trade Talk TV.